When I first walked into the office, everything smelled like coffee, ambition, and expensive cologne. It was one of those tech startups where everyone talked fast, typed faster, and measured their worth in lines of code. And then there was me, the intern, the girl sitting quietly in the corner, trying to look useful while pretending she belonged. I still remember my first morning there. No one looked up when I entered. No one said hi. My ID badge hung around my neck like a reminder that I was temporary. I was just the intern, a title that made people smile politely and then forget my name 2 seconds later. The office walls were covered with motivational posters about innovation and teamwork, but I rarely saw either. What I saw was ego, the kind that filled every meeting room with noise and competition. I was supposed to learn from them, but most days, I just watched as they competed for credit, praise, and proximity to the CEO. They gave me small tasks, fixing typos in documentation, cleaning messy code files, writing summaries no one read. It was dull, repetitive, and invisible work, but I did it anyway, because I knew something they didn't. I wasn't there to impress anyone. I was there to observe, to learn how the game was played. At lunch, the other interns talked about job offers and salaries they didn't have yet. I just listened. I'd brought my own food, a peanut butter sandwich and an apple, because the downtown cafe prices were ridiculous. One of the engineers once joked that my sandwich looked as basic as my code. Everyone laughed. I didn't. I stayed quiet, but every night, I stayed late. After everyone left, I'd sit there under the cold fluorescent lights, reading through the company's code base. It was messy, inconsistent, unoptimized, patched together by too many hands and not enough structure. It worked, sure, but barely. It was a system held together by duct tape and arrogance. And I saw patterns, small inefficiencies, repeated logic, functions that took twice as long as they should, things no one bothered to fix because it worked. But I couldn't ignore them. I started writing notes, testing small optimizations on my laptop, line by line, just to see how far the system could go. No one knew. No one cared. I was the intern, the invisible one. I didn't have access to the main repo, so I copied snippets of code and tested them locally. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't even officially allowed. But I did it anyway, quietly, carefully, after hours. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want to be told to stop. At home, I'd lie in bed and think about it, about how everyone in that office seemed obsessed with being seen, while I was obsessed with understanding what no one else looked at. A few weeks later, I started noticing something strange. The app's main feature, the one the company bragged about, was slowing down. Customer feedback was getting worse. The engineers held meeting after meeting, blaming servers, blaming users, blaming each other. I already knew what was wrong. The problem wasn't the users or the servers. It was the structure of their code. It was beautiful, in a way. Like watching a puzzle crumble piece by piece. I'd already mapped it out in my head. I could fix it. But who was going to listen to an intern? Still, I couldn't ignore it. So I worked on my own fix, a small, elegant solution that simplified everything. I didn't plan to use it. I just wanted to prove to myself that I could. It took me 4 nights. I barely slept. Coffee and silence became my only friends. I remember the moment it finally worked. The code ran smooth, clean, efficient. I smiled to myself in the dark office, surrounded by the faint hum of the air conditioner and the glow of my screen. It was perfect. But the next morning, I heard the engineers arguing again, louder this time. The issue had gone public. Customers were complaining on social media. The CEO was furious. Deadlines were missed. Investors were waiting for updates. The team was panicking, and I was sitting there, quietly, holding the solution on my laptop. That day, I realized something important. Sometimes, power doesn't come from being the loudest person in the room. It comes from being the one who actually understands what's going on. I didn't say a word. Not yet. I just waited. They mocked me for being just an intern. They had no idea that I had already written the code that could save them. The morning everything changed started just like any other day, cheap coffee, tired eyes, and the quiet hum of the office. No one looked up when I walked in, just like always. My name was still the intern, whispered with the same dismissive tone. The engineering team was in chaos. They'd been fighting this bug for over a week, a slowdown in the company's main product that was costing them users by the hour. The CEO wanted answers. Investors wanted reassurance. But all they had were excuses and stress. I watched them from my desk, the way you watch a storm roll in through a glass window. I could feel the tension in every click of the keyboard, every frustrated sigh. Everyone was too busy defending their code to actually fix anything. And there I was, the girl nobody noticed, holding the one thing that could make it all stop. For hours, I debated with myself. Should I tell them? Should I risk it? If I spoke up and my fix didn't work, I'd be the stupid intern who broke production. If it did work, maybe they'd take the credit anyway. But then I remembered why I'd started this internship in the first place, not to be seen, but to learn. And sometimes, learning means doing the thing no one expects you to do. That afternoon, while the others argued in the conference room, I quietly uploaded my optimized version to the staging environment, a controlled test server, just to see what would happen. I ran the new code and waited. It was like watching a broken engine finally start purring again. Smooth, fast, efficient. The logs that used to take minutes now finished in seconds. The error rate dropped to 0. The system was clean. I stared at the numbers, not believing my eyes. My fix actually worked. I sat there, frozen, while the room around me buzzed with frustration. They still hadn't noticed. The irony almost made me laugh, the whole team panicking, while the solution was already alive, quietly running in the background. I saved everything, documented it carefully, and backed it up twice. I wasn't about to lose my proof. I didn't tell anyone, not yet. I just wanted to be sure. Later that evening, when most of the team had gone home, I deployed the code to a smaller live section, one of the company's low-traffic servers. It was risky, maybe even stupid, but I needed real data. Within an hour, the results were undeniable. Response times improved by 70%. Server load dropped by half. User experience metrics shot up. I sat there in the dark, with the glow of the screen reflecting off my coffee mug, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Pride. Not the loud kind that comes with applause or praise, but the quiet kind that comes from knowing you did something real. I didn't sleep that night. My brain kept spinning, replaying the numbers, the improvement, the possibility. By morning, I knew I couldn't keep it to myself any longer. When I came in the next day, the office was buzzing again, but this time, there was a strange sense of relief. Someone had noticed the servers were running smoother. The dashboards looked cleaner. The problems seemed to be disappearing. No one knew why. They thought it was luck. I smiled quietly. Let them think it was luck for now. Over the next few days, the changes spread through the system. Customer complaints stopped. The app's performance skyrocketed. The company's reputation started to recover. And then came the emails from clients, from investors, from people who had almost given up. Suddenly, everyone was celebrating again. They called it a miracle. I kept my head down. I didn't say anything. Not until the weekly all-hands meeting. That Friday, the CEO stood up in front of everyone, beaming. He congratulated the engineering team for their hard work under pressure. Everyone clapped. I clapped too. Inside, my heart was racing. Not with anger, but with clarity. I knew what I had done. I knew what my code had fixed. And I knew that one day, the truth would find its way out. It always does. That weekend, while everyone else celebrated with drinks, I went back to the office one last time. I wanted to clean up my files before my internship ended. But when I logged into the system, I noticed something strange. My code had been copied. Someone from the senior dev team had taken my patch, removed my comments, and merged it into the main branch under their name. It hit me like a punch. My heart sank. I sat there staring at the screen, my fingers trembling. I had worked for weeks in silence, fixed what they couldn't, and now it was theirs. My code, my work, my quiet victory erased in seconds. For a moment, I wanted to give up. I wanted to delete everything, pack my things, and walk away. But then, I remembered what I'd done the night I wrote the final version. I had saved my proof. Every commit, every timestamp, every line of code, backed up to my own private drive. They could take the credit for now, but I had the truth. A few days later, the company's app exploded in popularity. It wasn't just stable, it was faster than ever. Tech blogs started writing about it. New investors were flooding in. The company's valuation tripled in a month. And through it all, I sat at my little intern desk, quietly watching them celebrate my work. They laughed when I arrived. They ignored me for months. They mocked my sandwich, my silence, my ideas. But now, their success, their millions were built on the code I had written. And I wasn't done yet. Because the truth always has a way of showing up, especially when the person you underestimated has kept every receipt. By the time my internship was almost over, the company was unrecognizable. The same people who used to roll their eyes at me now walked through the halls with pride, bragging about how we saved the company, the bug was gone, the app was faster, the investors were thrilled, the CEO started showing up in the office again, smiling like a man who'd just been handed a second chance. They were all celebrating a miracle, my code. I was still the intern, sitting quietly at my desk, pretending to be impressed as they congratulated each other. There was champagne in the break room. Someone even printed a banner that said, "We did it." Every time I looked at that banner, I felt something twist inside me. It wasn't anger anymore, it was something colder, calmer, the kind of feeling that comes when you finally realize you don't need anyone's permission to be great. I had the receipts, the version history, the timestamps, and the one undeniable truth, that the fix that made them millions was mine. The following Monday, I received an email from HR asking me to prepare a presentation for the upcoming tech conference. They wanted a fresh intern's perspective on innovation. I almost laughed out loud. The irony was painful. They didn't even know what I had really done. They just wanted to use me as a background prop in their success story. So I said yes. That week, I worked quietly on my slides, but not the way they expected. I didn't plan to expose anyone, not publicly, not cruelly, but I wanted the truth to surface. Not out of revenge, but out of justice. The day of the presentation came. The conference hall was packed with executives, engineers, and journalists. The CEO sat in the front row, next to the investors. My hands shook slightly as I walked onto the stage, but I smiled. I'd been invisible for too long. This was my moment. The lights dimmed. The screen behind me glowed. I started talking about innovation through observation, about how real breakthroughs often come from the people nobody listens to, how sometimes the best solutions are born in silence when no one's watching. And then I showed it, slide by slide. I revealed the before and after performance charts, the timestamps, the code snippets, the optimization logs. Everything lined up. Dates, metrics, commits. It was impossible to deny. The entire system's transformation had begun from a commit labeled with my initials. Months ago, during my internship, the room fell silent. No one moved. No one breathed. I could feel the CEO's eyes on me, the weight of confusion and realization hitting him all at once. I didn't accuse anyone directly. I didn't need to. The data spoke for itself. I finished my presentation with one simple line. Sometimes the people you overlook are the ones holding everything together. And then I walked off the stage. For the first time since I joined the company, people looked at me, really looked. Not as the intern, not as background noise, but as someone who mattered. After the talk, my inbox exploded. Messages from recruiters, CTOs, even journalists who wanted to feature me in articles about the quiet genius intern who saved a startup. My LinkedIn doubled in followers overnight. I didn't post anything. I didn't need to. By the next morning, the company was in damage control. The engineer who'd stolen my work sent out a vague apology email about miscommunication. The CEO called me into his office. He didn't shout or threaten. He just sat there, quiet, unsure how to deal with a truth that couldn't be rewritten. He offered me a full-time position, a raise, and a chance to continue making an impact. I thanked him politely and declined, because it wasn't about money anymore. It was about respect. And once you've earned that on your own terms, you never settle for less again. A week later, I accepted a job at another company, one that actually valued curiosity over ego. They'd seen my talk and reached out directly. They didn't care that I'd been an intern. They cared that I'd solved something no one else could. Before I left, I went back to my old desk one last time. The same corner spot where I used to eat my peanut butter sandwiches. The same spot where no one used to notice me. I sat down, looked around the office, and smiled. The same people who once laughed at me now avoided my eyes. Some looked guilty, others just looked uncomfortable. But I didn't need their apologies. Their silence was enough. I packed up my things, a notebook, my old badge, a half-empty coffee mug, and took one last look at the monitor that had once been my entire world. As I walked out, I realized something. Success doesn't always look like applause. Sometimes it looks like walking away from the place that never believed in you, with your head held high. Months later, I saw a news article about my old company. Their app had just been acquired for millions. I wasn't mentioned anywhere, of course. But I didn't feel bitter. I felt free, because deep down, I knew the truth. Every user who loved that app, every investor who believed in it, was unknowingly trusting the code I had written late at night, under flickering fluorescent lights, while everyone else had gone home. That was my legacy. Quiet, invisible, but real. And that's when I understood something I'll never forget. You don't have to be the loudest in the room to change everything. Sometimes, being underestimated is your greatest advantage, because when they laugh, you listen. When they doubt, you build. And when the time comes, you let your work speak louder than all of them.